The commodity markets in a week that cattle prices have soared. Jerry Gidel is ready to assess all of that in his weekly commentary, right here on Connected Farmer, your channel to keep you up to date with the latest trends in agriculture and livestock. So, Jerry, in this week we had cattle prices soaring, and also the trade talks have generated a pause, at least for a month, in the tariffs that Donald Trump, the president of the United States, was announcing.
Yes, yes. Well, I think that's kind of what bounced us back here towards the first of the week here was the announcement there on, I think it was Monday afternoon. I think it was the indications that the Mexicans had offered 10,000 troops for the border and keeping those drugs out, and also uh, they've been a very good buyer of corn all the way along here. They're not going to buy a lot of meal, and that's really for single st stomach animals, and they're doing a lot of cattle raising down there and selling us the beef and things like that. So, but anyway, then on Tuesday we got the Canadians. And Trump decided to get together, so they postponed both of the 25% tariff announcements that we had the week before to postpone them for about 30 days and that I don't know exactly. The Canadian side of things has always been a little tough to figure out exactly. I don't sense that there's that much fentanyl coming through Vancouver, but maybe it is. And that, and then on the immigration side of things, I don't sense that there's been a lot of foreign nationals coming across the Canadian border. But that's definitely the two things he's been quite concerned about, and we'll see if what happens with both of those. Now, the Chinese side of things seem to ratchet up a little bit on things here as we got, after midweek in that, and I think that had a impact here on on the soybean prices, at least from there. I still think it's 10%, but the one thing that kind of popped in here late this week and took the prices off of, high $4.90 level in corn and on beans, and that was the fact that the Japanese leader was in town, and so didn't President Trump didn't miss an opportunity to rattle the swords about tariffs with him. And so that really was, I think, the feature that snuck in here. I'd have to say that was uh, in the ag world. I didn't catch that until late in the session, even this afternoon, that might have been behind things here on the corn and soybeans. But we also have the weekend situation, South America harvest going on, that type of thing. That's definitely still a part of our world here on what to expect here on corn and soybeans at this point. So that's a feature in there. And of course, we're going to end up having the USDA's February crop report. Uh, and any revisions and demand and things like that. There's no additional production, by the way. 2024-25's crop sizes in the U.S. that are pretty well nailed here at this point until we get to the end of the season. But at this point, South America is in the hopper, and people will be watching closely on those crops.
Yeah, so we are going to have the new report, as you mentioned, and you are quite well known, well recognized by your accurate estimates. And everybody that likes those estimates, please subscribe to the channel. So we keep doing that. But Jerry, what are the changes compared to January that you are seeing right now?
Well, the general trade estimates here are pretty minor at this point. Geez, on beans, I think they're uh, actually just down 5 or 6 million. The actually the wheat number is virtually unchanged at 500 or 799, and corn, they're down. The trade is down only, I guess, 16 million. I guess I'm a little more optimistic on both corn and beans here, and that. And actually, I think one of the features that's even since I kind of put my numbers and submitted them earlier this week, we didn't have another update on our U.S. meal sales and how strong we have been on soybean oil, and both of those. Suggest that our crush statistics, which took a dip last week, but jumped back to record levels. Uh, I'll take that back. That was ethanol, and that, which is also a similar situation on demand factors. But in general, both the meal and oil, we're likely to see both of those expand on the overseas trade. And so that suggests that I said 15, and I think it could be as high as 25 or 30 on that. Soybean exports is always difficult to make a lot of adjustments here. We've had such a slowdown in Brazil's exports and crush, I should say. Both of those are wrong. The production numbers here at this point, and that their harvest has really been slowed down. Now, there has been some this week, possibly we've moved up from the 10 to 12% level up to maybe 20 or 25% at this point. But traditionally here, we're probably in the 35 to 40% level on Brazil's harvest, and that is an issue. There's still some rains in the forecast for Brazil this coming weekend, late weekend and next week, and so that could still stall out here, and we haven't got the official number. That was just a connection I've picked up here late today that we could have numbers above 20% on soybean harvest down there. I think the corn side of things, particularly, I think even other analysts are getting quite concerned about the fact that the corn is late planted situation really puts it in the hopper later this spring, where the heat picks up and the moisture and rains really slow down, particularly starting in April, and they could even shut down then. That could have a big impact on their crop size. But right now, why me worry is a classic right now in both of those situations here. On the corn side, I kind of feel like that ethanol demand has been strong. I mentioned that earlier when I was trying to talk about soybean meal and oil, and that it bounced back the last week. Now, that's really an interesting one at this point. Lots of different moving parts there. Last time around, President Trump decided that he wanted to uh, basically go back to the 10% mandate, not looking at any 15% or things of that nature, which really has been a feature in this thing, why we've had a really strong U.S. ethanol production at this point. And we'll see if he's got a lot of other things in his plate right now. So I guess we'll find out more about that later in the spring about ethanol and his expectations. He gave away some small refiner mandates last time around. They ultimately were declared illegal, and at the end of this his term, and basically were taken away from there. So it'll be interesting what that has to do with wheat's numbers here. I've been a little cautious about exports on the wheat, primarily because uh, surprisingly, we haven't seen a lot of demand this winter until the last 10 days, 2 weeks. Now, maybe that's going to keep the USDA unchanged on their exports, but there's plenty of time to figure out that. The wheat market is really going to be watching the cold weather blast that's now projected for the southern plains next week. And we had a little areas dinged last time here about 2.5 weeks ago or so, and unfortunately, winter kill doesn't really show its hand until we get into the wheat crop coming out of dormancy, and that so the crop doesn't green up, and so then when you figure out how cold it was, there has not been much snow in the U.S. I think the farthest out it's been is maybe Montana and northern parts of Nebraska. So there hasn't been a lot of snow out there to cover a blanket for the wheat. But right now, this week, we're gonna see what the USDA comes up with their numbers. But traditionally, February isn't a big changing month just because we had all the USDA numbers, and we have to wait to see what South America is going to produce.
All right, yeah, we're gonna check and we'll be right back on next week after the report. Thank you, Jerry.
Yes, yes, we're looking forward to the USDA's data. And at this point, I think swing factors of this $5 is going to be such a magic number here on spot nearby corn. It's really had two or three attempts up there. If it gets through there, and it's interesting that the commercials, excuse me, the investing community has stayed right in here with that on that one, and that's so we'll see how that does. But even beans switching back up into the 10.75 to $11 mark is going to be another one to watch. But we'll see what the USDA comes up on Tuesday.
All right, thank you.